Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the dceu Daily. Remember, you can follow me and tag me and speak to me over on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Later on, we'll be talking about the Joe Manganiello trending hashtag Deathstroke at HBO Max. Over 80,000 tweets, including one from Deathstroke himself and his good woman as well. Very, very exciting. But first, let's talk about this article. Superman voted the most hated superhero movie franchise of all time in a new study. I am seething. New research ranks Superman as the worst superhero movie franchise in terms of critical reception. Who gives a fuck what they think anyway? Let's give it a read. This is from Ryan Scott over at MovieWeb. So let's have a look. While it is sure to inspire strong opinions, no doubt, from individual fans, Superman has been ranked as the most hated superhero movie franchise. This according to a recent study which looked at the average critical response to every entry in major franchises. When it comes to the world of superheroes, no other franchise ranked lower. Movies containing Clark Kent or spun out of that same universe are generally speaking not well liked critically. According to the study, which looked at the average Rotten Tomatoes scores for various entries in a franchise, Superman comes in with an average rating of 48%. The franchise is burdened with duds such as Superman 3, quite like that film, 30%, and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, 11%. Is it even fair to talk about those movies' reception? Anyway, I actually kind of like those films, even though they have issues, right? Which overshadow the success of Superman the movie, 94% of note. The study factors in 2017's Justice League, but does not take into account Zack Snyder's Justice League. Of course not, because that has a positive reception, aka the Snyder Cut, which was better received. The people behind the study said the following of their methodology. For movies, we looked at all films which fall under each franchise, including sub-series within a larger franchise. For example, the likes of Avengers, Iron Man and Captain America within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and reboots of series. For example, we took all the Spider-Man movies as one franchise, which you can't do, including those played by Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. So it's a stacked deck already, so they can get certain results. They did this so they could say that the Superman movies, all in all, are the most hated franchise, right? Anyway, coming in just behind Superman was the Caped Crusader himself, Batman. Again, movies like The Dark Knight are overshadowed here by flops like Batman and Robin. It is the unfortunate result of working on an average. Yes, and it's been done like this on purpose. Anyway, the DC Extended Universe as a whole took the number 3 spot. Early entries like Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad dragged down the accomplishments of critical darlings like Wonder Woman and Shazam. Rounding out the top 5 were Wolverine at 67% and X-Men also at 67%. Disney and Pixar's Incredibles came out on top. This is a joke, isn't it? Ranking as the most loved superhero franchise. The movies averaged 96%. However, the series benefits from only having 2 movies to its name. You see, the whole methodology, as they call it, is wrong, and it's done purposely. The same goes for Deadpool, which came in at number 5 with 85%. Superman, meanwhile, is having to contend with decades worth of entries and various iterations. Coming in at number 2 was Guardians of the Galaxy with 89%, Captain America 87%, Avengers 86%, arrived in the 3 and 4 spots. Respectively, overall, Catwoman and Supergirl were the lowest rated superhero movies, no surprise there, but actually, I don't think you can put Supergirl in with Catwoman, because if you watch the Supergirl movie, I think it's a pretty cool movie, and I think Helen Slater's pretty awesome, holding just 19% approval ratings. Catwoman was counted for the Batman franchise, and Supergirl was factored in for Superman. Ridiculous. How can you even do that? You can check out the full top 5 list below. This news comes to us via money.co.uk. Wow. Top 5 most hated superhero movie franchises. Superman, 48%. Batman 59%, the DC Extended Universe 59%, Wolverine 67%, X-Men 67%. And here we go. The top 5 most loved superhero movie franchises. The Incredibles 96%, Guardian of the Galaxy 89%, Captain America 87%, Avengers 86%, and Deadpool 85%. Wow. And that's it. That's the article. That's all they're going to say. Don't you have an opinion about this? Wow. What a load of crap. Right. So they're saying basically that the Superman movie franchise, as they put in together, right, is the most hated movie franchise of all time by taking it in as an average and not countering Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. Why not? Because it was successful, and that means your stack system wouldn't work. Let's look at the Superman, right? Does this mean that Warner Brothers shouldn't make Superman movies? It would be kind of interesting if this came from the studio itself, kind of in a hooded, suspicious way, so they could say, we shouldn't be making Superman movies, although J.J. Abrams is developing a Superman movie with a different Superman, probably from a different Earth, very similar to what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman. Is Superman a hated character? No. Yes, supporters of other franchises and a lot of Marvel fans always come out with the bullshit that Superman isn't relatable. He is too. He's relatable to millions of people around the world. So to say, ooh, he isn't relatable, he doesn't work, he's overpowered, these are boring kind of self-inflated opinions and kind of narratives that have gone down for years and years and years. The truth is that Superman is the best superhero character, right? And of course, we're talking about movies, so we can't add in Smallville and Superman and Lois, which are probably two of the most popular pieces of media that Superman's ever been involved with. Right. So let's talk about the top tier Superman live action stuff in no particular order. So for me, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman are top tier. Superman the movie and Superman 2 are top tier. Smallville and Superman and Lois are top tier. I think Smallville is higher than Superman and Lois because Superman and Lois goes for the family element, mainly because it's a show that doesn't have a big budget and they have to do that. I would say that Smallville is one of the best pieces of media in terms and involving Superman of all time. But those projects that I've just listed are the best you can get. If you've never seen any of those films, if you've never seen Smallville, if you've never seen Superman and Lois, and you were thinking of looking into Superman live action media, those are the things you should be looking into. Now, the second tier for me would have to be things like Superman 3 and Superman 4. Superman 3 is an okay film. Superman 4 was a cheap, low-budget, hackneyed attempt. There's no question about that. I can't defend the movie. But I think if you watch it in an uncritical, unanalytical way in the afternoon for something to enjoy, it's both epic, awesome, and funny. But it is cheaply made, and the effects are not great. There's no question about that. I can't defend that. But basically, to do this, right, and let's go back to the article, to do this and say Superman voted the most hated superhero movie franchise of all time in a new study. And in fact, if this study is actually called that, that's ridiculous. Just because you estimate something and you put all the films together, including Supergirl, right, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So in fact, just like most media like this, it's all bullshit. In fact, Superman isn't the most hated movie franchise of all time. It's one of the most beloved, right? Without Superman the movie, this is the irony that comes in. Without Superman the movie that broke the mold in 1978, think about that. No CGI, VFX, right? All done in the camera, mostly. There was a couple of effects houses around, but, apart from that, most of what Dick Donner had to do and his team is create new groundbreaking effects. Without Superman the movie, no live-action superhero movies or TV shows would ever have been created. Something else, the amount of movie writers and producers and directors saying that Superman the movie actually inspired them to get into telling stories and making films and making TV. Jesus Christ, without the Smallville portion of Superman the movie, we wouldn't have got a Smallville TV show, right? Without the Smallville TV show, there's no Arrowverse. Do you understand the domino effect that movie had? So to say that a franchise, if you put them all together, with that movie in it, is a bad film or is a bad franchise and it's the most hated franchise, is a blatant lie. As I say, they've stacked the deck so they can use this headline. It's so triggering. Of course, this is all done on purpose, right? They want exposure, and that's up to them. If that's the way they want to dictate themselves and conduct themselves. But for me, it's bullshit. Superman always gets this kind of treatment, and I don't know why. I don't know why some people go out their way to trash on Superman live action. For me, without Superman the movie, and let's look at Superman 2, which had many production problems. They drove Dick Donner out. They brought Dickie Lester in, who did an admirable job, right? Without Superman 2 is a groundbreaking film by Dickie Lester. Why? Because that's the first time we ever saw a superhero fight supervillains with great VFX back in 1980. Amazing. So even though I would have wanted Dick Donner to give us his Superman 2, I still think Dickie Lester did a great job. A really great job. Another groundbreaking film. It's great. It's got a great storyline. It's got Zod. It's got Non. It's got Ursa. They're great. Non is a kind of a klutz. Ursa is this powerful female supervillain. And Zod is this whole no before Zod. Terry Stamp as Zod is awesome. So to say that a franchise with Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Superman and Superman 2. And in fact, if we bring Superman 3 into it, it's a very jokey, humorous film. But in fact, it's got one of the most iconic live-action Superman sequences of all time. It's literally got Clark Kent versus evil Superman. Chris Reeve performed the hell out of that. And the special effects for having the same actor on the same screen at the same time was, again, groundbreaking. So how can you say media, a franchise with all this media in it, and we look at Superman Returns, which is not the perfect movie. It's very flawed. Anything made by human hands is flawed. Superman Returns made mistakes. There's no question about it. People didn't want the Reeve era continued. He didn't do a very good job, Bryan Singer, of continuing the Reeve era. Brandon Routh did a great job. Kevin Spacey's a great Lex Luthor. A lot of people don't like the choice for Lois Lane. I think she's okay. I think she's passable, but she's not great. She's not one of my, my top Lois Lanes have got to be Erica Durant and Margot Kidder. I think they're great Lois Lanes, and I think Amy Adams would have to come in a close third. Terry Hatcher's many, many fan favourites, but not one of mine because I don't like the New Adventures of Superman. I don't think it's great. But then you've got the George Reeves series, right? And there's a couple of great actresses there who played Lois as well, in a lot of people's top tier lists as well. Look, the Superman live action media is sensational. No question about it. And for people to say it's the most hated is a blatant lie. A blatant lie, I tell you. And I cannot believe I'm here defending a franchise with Superman the movie in it, which created the superhero movie. Like it or not. Whether you love comparing MOS to Superman the movie and say, well, MOS is such a better film. Yeah. Take the VFX of the day out, right? And then we'll talk about it, right? I love Zack, but could he have done what Dick Donner did in 1978 without his toys? Probably not. Because Zack is very reliant on those toys of CGI. Now, I love Zack and I like his movies, but I'm trying to be honest with you here. I love Man of Steel. I think it's the ultimate Superman movie. I really do. It's got action. It's got heart. It's got the lot, right? And if you ask me to say what I prefer from Man of Steel to BVS, I'll say Man of Steel every time because it has a mixture of levity, heart, great Superman action, And it's a Superman Begins movie. Now, I love BVS, but I would never put it over Man of Steel. A lot of people love Man of Steel, right? That's why people are so mad that we never got a direct Man of Steel sequel. And even though Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice is a direct sequel, there were things they didn't deal with in that movie, like the Codex. Very important kind of narrative in Man of Steel that's being ignored. It was never referenced in any of the films since Man of Steel because David S. Goyer came up with the concept. It wasn't Zack Snyder's idea. So we want to see that sequel. But going back to this, the Superman movie franchise, and if you bunch all the films in and let's bunch the TV shows in, I think it's probably one of the most beloved franchises out there. Ask people what they think of Superman the movie, Superman 2, Smallville, and Superman and Lois, for example. And I think you'll get a lot of positive responses. And I may have not liked Dean Cain's Superman, but there's a lot of people out there who love it. So, in fact, it's not the most hated franchise, as I keep on saying, it's the most beloved. And to do an article like this is so mischievous and unprofessional and so opposite to what journalism should be. This is cheap journalism, everyone. Cheap journalism to get hits, to get people triggered, right? And what's disgusting about this movie web thing, right? Because I don't think they did the article. They're just reporting on it. They didn't do the count and everything, right? They didn't work it all out. But this guy, Ryan Scott, can't even be bothered to give his opinion. He's just relaying information. And I hate journalists who just relay information. I can't stand YouTubers who just relay information without any opinion. You know, I want your opinion or I'm not going to bother viewing your platform, whether you're a written journalist or a YouTuber, because that's boring, right? And obviously it gets you less hate because you're not venturing an opinion and you can straddle the fence. You can straddle the barbed wire without, you know, getting your cods torn up because of the barbed wire, right? But this is a channel. This is a channel that ventures its opinion. And I'm proud of that, even though it's a very unsuccessful channel. I still enjoy doing it and I appreciate the few people that come in to watch it. And I know for a fact that 9 out of 10 of you love Superman and love Superman media. There's something in this franchise they're calling the most hated that you love. Whether it's Superman the movie, Superman 2, Man of Steel, BVS. There's something in there that you love. And that says something a lot. But you can't call something the most hated franchise of all time when it's clearly not. Just because you've added things up to make sure that this franchise is the most hated. But how can you call it hated? You're basically basing this on, you're basing something's popularity, a movie franchise's popularity, by pumping in different Superman franchises, heaping them all together and basing it on critical reception. Why is critical reception the most important thing? If you did an audience score on Rotten Tomatoes of the Superman franchise bunched all in, it would be one of the most popular. And you know, just basing it off Superman, Superman 2, Man of Steel and BVS, because despite the popular opinion that BVS is hated, it's actually loved by as many people who hate it. That's a fact. This is a channel that throws the facts in your faces and kind of exposes these terrible narratives. And it's, as I say, it's lazy journalism. It's basically doing what it's doing to me on purpose. It's just triggering. This is what media is now. It's just meant to wind you up constantly. Well, let's get this absolutely right. Superman is the best superhero. He's one of the best characters in the history of fiction. He was one of the first comic book icons, and people love him today. And all people want to see are great Superman movies and great Superman cameos in the DC Extended Universe. Which brings me to my next point. So, is anyone subscribed to the YouTuber Dingus Bingus? Well, I don't think he's done a video for a while, but I did notice that he did one, And he had a theory about Henry Cavill and which DCEU films he will cameo in. And he was talking about the obvious ones, which I've discussed as well. Black Adam, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and the Flashpoint movie. So it's very interesting where do we lie here with the Henry Cavill's future? Does he have a future? And, these are the discussions and conversations we've been having for a very long time here, especially on Big Mouth and the DCEU Daily, because I think Cavill's not talking, his agent's not talking. He did do the watch party for Snyder, the Man of Steel watch party, which was interesting. We thought that meant he was back in, but we haven't heard anything since. There's always rumours about Henry, that big rumour about him being like the Iron Man of the DCEU, where he cameos in all these movies. I think it's better than nothing. And you know what? Dingus Bingers made a great point that they made 3 Iron Man movies, and actually some of the best appearances by Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark were in the Avengers movies and the Spider-Man movies and things like that. And he's got a point. So as long as they're not just little cameos and he plays big parts in this movie, but he doesn't take over these movies because that's important, that's great. Because I would like nothing more than to see Henry Cavill's Superman in Fury of the Gods and, be with Shazam especially when he's a teenager, right? And he's not dressed up as Shazam, right? Just as Billy Batson. That would be great. And I would really enjoy that for him to be with the rest of the family, the Shazam family. That could be fun. Him coming up against the Justice Society of America and Black Adam would be awesome. And of course, it would seem out of all these films that Henry Cavill does need to be in the Flashpoint movie, because it's this Flash movie is set after Justice League, because that's canon in the DCEU, regrettably. I don't like it, but these are the facts of this situation. And so I would think there will be a necessity for Henry to play Superman again. They've been trying to avoid it because obviously there's been disagreements between Henry and the studio. He's tried his best to put pressure on them to put him in a movie, and they haven't. Because once they drove Snyder out, all bets were off. And then they put out via the Hollywood Reporter publication that they were resting Superman about 2 years ago. And so, apart from Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut and that little cameo of the headless Superman in Shazam, we haven't seen Superman. But now we've got Superman and Lois. Now J.J. Abrams is developing a Superman movie. And whatever it is, at least it's a Superman movie. Whoever's in it, right? That's my loyalty to the character. So that's exciting. So we're guessing and estimating that's not a Kal-El Clark Kent Superman movie. It's actually going to be another version from the multiverse, most probably a Superman of color, which is cool with me. It's still Superman. It will be interesting, but we want Kal-El as well. And we already know we're getting a Superman in the DCEU with, is it Sasha Calle, right? And I think that's great casting, and I would love Henry's Superman and Sasha's Supergirl to stand together in the Flashpoint movie. I would imagine he's going to be in it, but he hasn't been announced, which is worrying. So that's worrying. He's not being announced for anything. So are they saving this as a surprise, or will he actually be in it and will he be announced? Nobody knows, right? Michael Keaton hasn't really been confirmed. We know there's plans to put him in it. Then Michael Keaton was going, depends on COVID, depends on the script. Again, very interesting, and it could be an older interview he did. We don't know. We've got to assume that Keaton's in it at least, and Ben Affleck's in it. At least he's been mentioned to be in it. So, Henry hasn't been mentioned. But you would think it would be a necessity for him to be in the Flashpoint movie. I don't have any inner workings of what the fuck's going on here, because these are the things we've been discussing in terms of Restore the Snyderverse. The whole thing's a mess. Whether you look at Restore the Snyderverse and them restoring it, if they do it, and when you look at the Central Universe, and at the moment, it's all a mess. None of it makes sense. It doesn't fit like a jigsaw like the MCU does. So when we finish watching Flashpoint, it's all got to work out. Whether they kick Batfleck out of all existence via Flashpoint, or whether they make Michael Keaton the DCEU Batman, we're going to have to wait and see. these are interesting developments. But at least if it's neat and tidy, and I don't want them to destroy the Snyderverse from all existence, but at least it's not the mess that it is thus far. I don't want that to happen. I want it to be restored, the Snyderverse, and we'll see what happens, right? But at this moment, I think we're closer than we've ever been to finding out if Cavill is going to be involved, because Dingus Bingers was trying to add 2 and 2 together and get 4, 4.5, 5, because Henry's finished shooting season 2 of The Witcher. And Dingus reckons that there's nothing on his IMDb of new projects for a while. So it would make sense. Now, don't forget, there were rumours in an article a few months ago that Superman was going to cameo in Fury of the Gods. Then kind of David F. Sandberg, the writer-director of that film, said he didn't want to say he was in it. He kind of tried to say it wasn't true because he said, look what happened last time. I really wanted Superman in that movie, and because of Henry's scheduling, I couldn't have it, so he didn't want to put bad luck onto the situation. So it sounds like at this moment in time, we at least are getting Henry Cavill's Superman in Fury of the Gods, which is really exciting, which I think makes the Central Universe seem a little bit more exciting than it has been in the past. See, we're getting a Supergirl and stuff like that. There are plans now. They are developing this thing. And so I think definitely Fury of the Gods, that's the one where we've heard something and Sandberg kind of sounded like he knows it's happening, but he doesn't want to, he's not sure, it's not concrete yet, so he didn't want to start confirming it, and he didn't like that there was an article leaking that news. So I think that's where we are. Now, in terms of Black Adam, it's something that The Rock has always wanted with Henry's Superman and him, throwing the fists up, having fisticuffs, which would be awesome. And what The Rock wants, The Rock gets. So I think that's very likely, both the Shazam-y kind of movies. And I would imagine, as I say, a version of Superman has to be in this Flashpoint movie. Whoever it is, however they work this, I would imagine, from the outside looking in, that we're not going to hear about him being in Flashpoint. Maybe they want it to be a surprise. Maybe we won't hear him being in any of them. Here's the problem with that. You can make so much bigger box office now and get more people to subscribe and view these films on these subscription services, these streaming services, if you kind of buzz it out and tell people that Henry's going to be in it. So that's where I am with that. I definitely think he's going to be in these 3 movies. I don't like to say that because of everything that's gone down in the past few years since Justice League. But I do have a confidence that they will at least have Henry in these roles, in these films, and going forward appearing in many more films. I think he should just appear in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. It's not saying that James probably would want, because he doesn't want his own characters and concepts and story overshadowed. But I think Henry's Superman should just cameo everywhere now. And if you're going to say it's that Superman from Justice League, he's obviously not going to wear the black suit in the Central Universe. And so that leads us to another conversation. How close are we to restoring the Snyderverse? Is it a possible thing? Is it realistic? Is there a reality here? Well, every time we do one of these Restore the Snyderverse events over on social media, especially Twitter, they win big. I think it was a few days ago, we got 100K or around that for Restore the Snyderverse. And yesterday we had this Deathstroke on HBO Max. And that, I think, trended with over 80,000 tweets. I'm not sure if we got to 100K. I don't think that we did. But still, a great result. And we also know that Joe Manganiello actually hashtagged that as well. So that's big news. Because the other day, Legendary Pictures were boasting that Restore the Monsterverse was trending. The hashtag was trending at over 15K tweets, which is literally nothing compared to what we do in Restore the Snyderverse, right? So if that's a big deal to Legendary, just imagine what this means to Warner Media and Jason Keeler. So something's going to happen here. But again, I don't know how. I don't know how they can do this. I have always said the best thing, and everyone's been saying, having on HBO Max as its own Elseworld. That would really work for me, and that would really work for you, the fans, as well. We're all in this together, right? So we don't know. and I don't know when we're going to get an announcement, so we're going to have to wait. So a very successful event. Joe Manganiello wants this, but how could we have a Joe Manganiello Deathstroke movie or TV show on HBO Max? What would be the best concept? I'll be discussing that shortly. So let's just say we restore the Snyderverse, for argument's sake, right? And they green light Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. How do we do this, right? Well, there's lots of different ways you can do. You can start off with an origin story because he obviously has a history with the Teen Titans. So Snyder, in fact, could create his own Teen Titans, right? We know there's a Titans TV show, but that's nothing, they're never going to let Snyder mess around with that. So you could absolutely do something there. So that could be quite interesting to have him have his origins and all of that. So you could start off with that. But you could also do an Elseworld thing within the Snyderverse where you have a Deathstroke versus Batman. And quite a few people are saying that over on Twitter. And I thought of this. I think I thought of this first, by the way, but I probably didn't. I think I invented the light bulb, the iPad, the laptop and the television. So that's me anyway. But yeah, a Deathstroke versus Batman thing would be very, very interesting. So you could either have actually, what's his bloody name? Oh my God, the guy who plays Negan. That's it in The Walking Dead. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Right, Jeffrey Dean Morgan was supposed to play the Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman in Zack's version of Flashpoint. And that never happened because he did play Thomas Wayne in BVS, in that flashback, in the big opening credits of Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. And what we saw from him there was fucking amazing. Dean Morgan is, Dean Morgan, Jeffrey's just amazing. He has this pent-up aggression in his performances, and I fucking love it. And when he plays this softy kind of character, like he did in Grey's Anatomy, he surprises you. Even in Supernatural, he's not that aggressive. But naturally, he plays his roles really aggressively, and it worked for Negan, and it worked for Thomas Wayne as well. So it will be very interesting in a Flashpoint scenario, in another world, if these two versions of these characters met up. So you could do that. Or instead of doing Ben Affleck's The Batman, right, you could just do Deathstroke versus Batman, which is basically the same fucking thing. That's what you could call the fucking picture, right? Batman versus Deathstroke. It sounds more exciting. You've got two iconic characters. Everybody knows what's going on. People are going to be interested. Use the same plot. This guy, Deathstroke, is going to destroy Batman's life intelligently, not physically, but he's going to do things. Maybe he kills Alfred, right? I think that might be Ben Affleck's original plan. And Ben Affleck can have this whole thing if he's interested. Less pressure on Ben and, the life issues he's had in the past, because we don't want to bring that back for Ben. We don't want to put pressure on Ben. If he wants to do this, the fans are there to stand with him, to fight with him, to do this. But if he's not interested, but I think Ben is extremely interested, but he's a grade A. He's an A-lister. There's no question about that. But apparently he was wearing this Snyder shirt or something during the reshoots of Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. So I think he's very passionate about this whole movement, by the way. But he can't come out and keep on telling us. But he has hashtag things before. He has tried to be supportive. And I think he follows some fans as well on Twitter. So he's a cool guy. He wants to play Batman. He wants to write and direct this situation. It wasn't really his choice to move away from this film anyway. They drove him out. Jeff Johns drove him out. I have no evidence of that, but this is the internet. We can just say things, right, without backup. It's just my theory. It's just how I feel. And so I think a Batman versus Deathstroke movie, but it's the Batman movie, but it's Deathstroke versus Batman, because you don't want to have a second The Batman, do you? That's dumb. Right, the cue has been taken by Matt Reeves, and that's fine. I'm looking forward to what Matt is doing and what Matt has done. He's finished that movie now, so it's the editing, it's the VFX, it's the music. Very exciting. Can't wait for a trailer for that as well. But I think Batman versus Deathstroke will be a great title. It will be an epic series or movie. I'm old-fashioned. I like it to be a movie, but if it's a series, it's a series. Over 80,000 tweets shows that people really want it. Now, Grace Randolph has, very interesting. She's given the Restore the Snyderverse community a heads up that later on today, the Hollywood Reporter will do a massive expose. And she's told us, Grace Randolph, via Twitter, that it's something that the movement and the fans will be very interested in. So it's typical Grace Randolph kind of hinting. I believe her, and there's no reason to lie about this. But what's it about? Is it about... I mean, the obvious one would be Joss Whedon, because it's easy to expose him more. He's an easy target now. So this could be the studio using the Hollywood Reporter, as they do a lot, by the way. They did it last week with that hit piece about us, the fans, right? And they did it with Variety, with the Ann Sarnoff interview. I call it the Ann Sarnoff ask and answer kind of interview. She probably wrote and narrated everything, didn't she? But more than likely, it's someone at Warner Brothers. They can see the heat they're under now, right? They know they have to throw someone under the bus. So they've tried to throw us under the bus and it hasn't worked. So it's either an expose about Joss Whedon, right, or us. It's another hit piece about us, more than likely, or they've decided to throw someone else onto the hot coals. And who could that be? I think it's interesting. I mean, it could be Jeff Johns, unlikely because of the power and the money he brings to them, and that's a solid partnership for them. It could even be Walter Hamada. So these are the options I think we could be seeing. Now, interestingly enough, I've said all of that because I'm recording this video. It's lunchtime here in Cyprus. It's nearly 2 p.m, about midday over in the UK. And God knows what it is for you guys over in the US. But by the time you see this video, we would have found out about this article. So very exciting. So what I'm going to do is I'm either going to react to this tonight when it comes out, because it will be tonight for me, and I'll record a video straight away and upload it at the same time as the DCEU Daily, this very video we're watching now, or I'll wait to discuss it in tomorrow's DCEU Daily. If it's a hit piece about the fans, I probably won't do it urgently because it's predictable, right? If it's a hit piece about Joss Whedon, I'll probably more than likely wait. But if it's about Jeff Johns or Walter Hamada, that's urgent news that you, my subscribers, and other people, we deserve to talk about that together. And I probably would do an urgent video about that. So that's from Grace Randolph. A heads up that the Hollywood Reporter are doing an expose, one that our movement and our fandom are going to be very interested in. And I'm very intrigued about this, Grace. What is going on? So Scott Edwards, our resident DC superfan, has got quite a few requests for me today. Now, someone said to me the other day, a couple of people said to me, have you made up Scott Edwards so you can pretend you're popular? Right. First of all, no, I haven't done that, and I wouldn't do that. Obviously, you're not going to take my word for it. I will show you Scott Edwards' Twitter handle. He's an existent Twitter user. But listen, I'm not popular. I can't pretend I'm popular. I can tell you the truth of who I am, right? I'm an insider in the entertainment industry here in Cyprus. I'm developing the first English-speaking dramas here on Cypriot TV, right? That's what I'm actually doing. I was on a reality show out here. Sometimes people speak to me from Hollywood. I have friends from the entertainment industry in the UK and in America, right? I don't divulge those names because I could become very popular by divulging those names, but that's not how I want it to work. If I'm going to be successful at the YouTube and social media game, it's because of me. It's because you like me. And if you don't like me enough, that's perfectly fine. So I would never absolutely pretend that someone was asking me questions if they weren't. So let's look at Scott Edwards. I hope he doesn't mind, but we're going to take a closer look at Scott Edwards so we can all prove that he's real. Right. So Scott Edwards is a big DC fan. He's got a big picture of Superman and Lois. He's got 151 followers. And his handle is at Scott EMV. So you can follow him. So it's Scott, basically SCOTTE, and he's basically, you can follow him. It's MV. So it's Scott MV, and he follows me. So it's 151 followers. I don't know how many posts he's got. Actually, the whole thing's blank, so it does look like I'm making him up, but that's who Scott Edwards is. What's going on here? Has my Twitter, hang on a minute, has my Twitter gone down? Hang on a minute. It's okay, Scott, sorry. I was being bogus there. I was wrong. My internet went down for a minute. Yeah, he's got plenty of posts and everything here. 151 followers. And it's at SCOTTE. They're small letters and then capital M and a capital V. Go and follow Scott and go and see he's real and I'm not making him up, right? Anyway, let's go back to what Scott wants to talk about today. So at Movies TV Mad, for the next DCEU Daily, I was wondering if you could review the Arrowverse crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths as a TV movie and discuss your thoughts on it. Well, it's a very long time, Scott, since I've seen it. I will keep this short and say to you that as a whole entity, I think it's a great achievement for the CW and the people who work on the show. I think after all these years of doing these shows, and as you know, I have issues with these shows after the second season of Arrow and The Flash, which I love the first two seasons of those shows, that both seasons of those first two seasons of those shows are some of the best DC media live action I have ever seen. But anyway, I think it's a success story. It's a success story because they complete Oliver Queen's arc, and it works. I don't like what they did with Tom Welling's cameo. I do not understand what Greg Berlanti's obsession is with depowering Superman and making him kind of stay at home doing the knitting in a rocking chair. I think it was a dumb idea, and if Tom didn't want to put the costume on and be Superman, he still could have stood there as Clark and had some powers. So it was a waste of a cameo, and let me be clear about that. For me, that's not Smallville cameo. Sorry, that is not Smallville canon as far as I'm concerned, right? So anything Smallville-ish we saw in Infinite Earths, Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's it. I'm forgetting everything that's been in my head in all my life now. But yeah, anything Smallville-related on from Crisis on Infinite Earths is not canon for me. So Oliver Queen's arc being completed is beautiful. The villain is awesome. Seeing Brandon Routh as Superman, as a big Superman fan and fan of Brandon as Superman, it was awesome. And I really enjoyed that narrative. Look, some of the things didn't really work for me. They kind of had this Elseworld version of Batman done by the guy who voices the animated Batman. It was cool to have him there, but I didn't kind of get all of that. It seemed a bit, that wasn't my thing really. But in terms of what they did with Oliver Queen, I thought it was emotional. I thought it was compelling. It was great for all these characters to be together. It was like an Infinity War and an Endgame for DC, and it really worked. And I hope one day we can do it in the movies. But for me, the great achievement was Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller crossing over and being on the screen together as different versions of the Flash. And I'm expecting Grant Gustin to share the screen with Ezra Miller in the Flashpoint movie. Very excited. Fingers crossed that happens, because they're about to make everything canon. Because actually, this cameo from Ezra Miller in Crisis on Infinite Earths is unprecedented. Because really, it's the origin story of the multiverse strategy that Walter Hamada and Jim Lee are constructing. So it was a very big moment. And so I do like Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think it's great. I think it worked for what they wanted to do. Unfortunately, it was so huge, so people are obsessed now with crossovers. This is what happened from the first Avengers movies, and Fate kind of said, right, you want crossovers and cameos? That's what we're going to give you from now on. And it works for that franchise. Obviously, because of COVID, they haven't been able to do that. And it's obviously very different when you look at something like Superman and Lois, which seems very self-contained. And I don't think Berlanti really wants to cross that show over with anyone else. So that will be interesting. Anyway, I hope that satisfies your first for Crisis on Infinite Earths talks for now, Scott. So let's look at something else. Right. At Movies TV Mad. Also for the next DCEU Daily. Man, I freaking love James Wan's Aquaman movie and cannot wait for Aquaman 2. What are your predictions for the plot? I think Black Manta will be the main villain. What about you? Also, do you think Orm will be a good guy or a bad guy? I think they'll probably go with Orm being the main villain again, and I think probably Black Manta will be on his team. I've been told, and I think we were told in many publications, Scott, that a lot of this fight this time will not take place in Atlantis, but on ground, basically, on the surface, as they call it in the film, and in that universe. So That's what we're seeing. I think that Orm will come to Earth with his armies, and he's going to create. It's going to be an epic battle. That's how I see that movie, just continuing on the power struggle, between Orm and Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman. That's my kind of prediction. I think it's going to be a very exciting, visually satisfying movie. I think it's going to be awesome, and James Wan will do a fantastic job with it. And I'm really sad that his spin-off movie isn't happening. So that's my predictions about that. At Movies TV Mad, this is from Scott Edwards again. And the final thing for the next DCEU Daily, in addition to the Crisis on Infinite Earths and Aquaman questions, is a picture of the villain Eclipso from the upcoming season 2 of Stargirl. He looks cool and terrifying. He does look very scary, doesn't he? Let's have a look at him. I certainly wouldn't want to bump into him in a dark alley, would you? And I hope that's not me being kind of alienist or anything. You know, the times we live in, people get offended, don't they? So where is he? And then he says, and here's an article talking about Eclipso for Stargirl Season 2, but be warned, it has spoilers for Season 1. So if you don't want to read it on the DCEU Daily, it's totally cool. You should try to catch up on Stargirl in time for Season 2 premiere. Thanks again. And here's the article. So this will be the final thing we do today, Scott. So thank you for your questions. Right, Stargirl Season 2, first look. Photo reveals DC villain Eclipso, which I've just shown you, by Saeed. Let's just call him Saeed, right? Because his other two names I can't read, I'm sorry. Stargirl Season 2 reveals the first look at Nick Tarabi's Eclipso, an ancient villain from DC Comics sent to terrorize the titular hero. Stargirl reveals the first detailed look at the new Season 2 villain Eclipso. Stargirl explores Brett Brasinger's titular superhero Courtney Whitmore, a high school sophomore whose life changes after coming across a cosmic staff that once belonged to Starman. The staff grants Courtney mysterious superpowers, which she uses to inspire an unlikely group of teenagers to form a new Justice Society of America. Stargirl is based on the DC Comics character created by Jeff Johns and Lee Moder. In honor of Johns' late sister, in July 2020, the show was renewed for Season 2 by the CW. In Season 1, the Injustice Society of America, headed by Jordan McKent, Icicle served as the primary villains against Stargirl. However, by the season finale, the JSA was largely wiped out by the JSA superheroes, and Icicle was also killed at Courtney and Mike Duggan's hands. In the Stargirl Season 1 finale, Cindy Berman, Shiv Meg Delarcy, got her hands on the Omnibus Blue Diamond in William Zarek's storage unit. The Season 1 conclusion also revealed the diamond contains Eclipso, an ancient villain whom Johns confirmed will have an essential role in Stargirl's upcoming Season 2. Now the show has revealed the first look at the new baddie in a grisly poster. The CW shared a new image from Stargirl Season 2 via TV Line, offering the first glance at Eclipso. The horrifying, nefarious agent of chaos can be seen channeling his menacing, destructive, dark energy. In the image, interestingly, viewers can also observe a shining black diamond around Eclipso's neck. Interesting. In the comics, these diamonds enticed angry people into letting Eclipso possess them. The presence of a diamond in the picture indicates Eclipso will use his superpowers of possession and divine empowerment in the show. The role of Eclipso will be played by the Arrowverse alum Nick Tarabi, although it's not clear how Eclipso's arc will play out in the storyline. The character is described as a corrupt supervillain seeking vengeance. As the poster also showcases, Eclipso is terrifying and physically imposing. Although Eclipso will be a central character in Season 2, he won't be the only villain that Courtney will have to deal with. Season 2 will also feature another new antagonist, Shade, Jonathan Cake, and a returning enemy, Solomon Grundy. Besides Shade and Grundy, the Flash's John Wesley Shipp will cameo as Jay Garrick too. Yeah, I forgot about that. That is exciting. Tarabe is unrecognisable as Eclipso in the new Stargirl image, which reflects the effort taken by Stargirl's makeup and special effects team to make Eclipso's characterisation as authentic as possible. The character's disfigured face is also split into two parts by a scar, which means that the villain will project his unique ecliptic energy in the show, just like he did in the comics. Overall, Stargirl's creative team has put into tremendous amount of work to make the titular hero's arch nemesis look as horrible and menacing as possible. The character's appearance is faithful to Bob Haney and Lee Elias' work, who created Eclipso, and hopefully Tarabi will further honour Haney and Elias with a powerful performance in the show, and I'm sure that he will. One of the things I'm kind of worried about this villain about is this hackneyed idea of being able to put people in a trance, being able to control people. It's kind of what you're going to see from Starro in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. It's just been done so many times, and I just hope it's effective. I hope you're happy with me reading that out, Scott. I did it, requested by you. I know nothing about Eclipso, so I only know what I've just read. Very interesting. I will try looking into Stargirl, hoping it's good and it's not annoying, full of annoying, smug characters, and we'll see how I get on with that. Anyway, comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.